Sensor.
You don't mind just clapping? Perfect.
My name's Audrey Dempsey and I'm the Service Manager at Glasgow's #1 Baby and Family Support Service. That is a charity in Glasgow that assists people who are in financial hardship or working poverty, and we support them by providing the material goods that they need to meet their basic daily needs and the needs of their family as well. And it's worked really successfully now for just under 4 years. We are one of the most used charities in Glasgow. We have 117 professional referring agencies, and in 3.5 years we have assisted 17,000 individuals and distributed goods to a base rate value of £2.7 million. And that was all done with voluntary hours. It started in January 2017 from a garage at home, thinking that it was just going to be a wee part-time hobby to do at the weekends, but it very quickly escalated. We're all about discretion and protecting people's identity, hence the reason why the goods go directly to the home rather than the family come to us. There's never any money changes hands. Everything we get free of charge, and we allocate it on to families in need completely free of charge as well.
We have two different kinds of referrals. We have a professional referral, which could be anybody from a health visitor to a social worker to a school teacher who have came across a family in need, or maybe they're supporting them in some other way and they realise that maybe they're needing a bit of help with clothes, shoes. So that's our kind of professional referral. They would give the name of the family and the address, and we record what they're actually looking for. Our volunteers don't see the name and address of the family, obviously for data protection. They only get the name of the referrer for when they're making up the packs that go out to the family. So that's our professional referral. We also have a self-referral where an individual can phone up and say that they're needing some help. What we had done pre-COVID was we would go out, two members of staff would go out to their house and carry out an interview. Obviously that's changed slightly or massively since COVID, so we are no longer able to go out to the house, primarily to safeguard ourselves and to safeguard the family. So we'd conduct the same type of interview, but we conduct it over the telephone. We get the family to provide proof of their income. We take an income and expenditure, and then we have a look at the figures to see if they're in severe financial hardship and if they're in working poverty. And I can say like maybe 99.5% of the time we will help that individual. As long as we can justify that, then we will help them. So that's the two different kinds of referrals. They're taken by telephone, they're taken by email, they come through a Facebook page. So there's all sorts of ways that the people can contact us.
Over the 3.5 years of operation, it's become apparent that mental health and poverty go hand in hand, and there are very few people who are living in poverty that don't suffer from mental health issues, either pre the poverty stage or it's poverty that's brought on the mental health. The pandemic has had a major effect on Glasgow as a city. I'm almost positive, it's had a major effect on every city that it's been affected by it. I can personally speak for Glasgow because that's where I'm based and that's where I work, and that is the people who I am supporting at this time. We have noticed a lot of mental health develop in children, in parents, in relationships, family relationships, families breaking up, marriages breaking up due to the pressures of COVID, people losing their job, people feeling what we hear quite a lot, and it's heartbreaking, as complete failures when it's no reflection on them as individuals. This is reflection on something that's happened in society that all members of society are dealing with, but it has really hit some people extreme with their mental health, and there was nowhere for them to turn. The suicide rate was rising rapidly, predominantly in teenagers, which was a big alarm bell for me personally, but for us as a team as well. And on doing our research roundabout and finding out why people felt this was happening, and we were told that the long and lengthy waiting lists for mental health services was a big no-no to start off with, because people were being fobbed off and told, oh, somebody will be in touch with you, but it'll be kind of 8 to 12 weeks, which is no good. When they turned to the medical profession for assistance, they were given antidepressants, but told, you'll feel better 3-4 weeks time once these get in your system. Again, no good at all. People who were not allowed to nurse their relatives and friends, they were not allowed to hold their hand at the time of passing. They were not allowed to visit, they're visiting through windows and things like that, and that whole distance. It just, I think the COVID pandemic in itself has brought on a mental health epidemic as well. And we're trying to support that in any way that we can. So we have put together our support and care hub, which is a bus conversion. And the outlook that I have, the vision that I have is, come to the main warehouse, we'll meet all your material needs, and then the support and care hub is there to also address budgeting issues, mental health issues, addiction issues, because all of these things have escalated throughout the pandemic, through the COVID pandemic. Our numbers for referrals have shot through the roof, and the self-referrals specifically from people who were in employment and are no longer in employment. Maybe they were on 0-hour contracts or they were part-time, the company's folded, and they found themselves with absolutely no job, no existing job to return to. They have been hit really, really hard, because there's lots of services that won't touch them because they were working. And sadly, if you're classed as working, then you're expected to manage. But it doesn't work like that. Working poverty they call it the silent poverty, because a lot of people don't know it exists. I would say it existed very much so before COVID, but since COVID, it's escalated. Working poverty is extreme now, and it's up there with people in generalised poverty. I would say it's probably 50-50 now. So this is the bus that we are currently converting so that we can make our own support and care hub. We wanted a kind of place that people can see as a safe space, and it's non-clinical, it's welcoming, it's comfortable, and they can come in here and feel at ease. There'll be absolutely no judgment whatsoever cast in this support and care hub. So what we did was we removed all the seats and all the interior of the bus. And one of our long-standing volunteers, Stuart, who is a man in his late 70s, I have to say, he insulated it all for us and did lots of work putting walls up and insulating the roof and getting electricity and things running through the bus. He's worked extremely hard to bring it forward, but obviously with the local lockdowns and the pandemic, everything kind of ground to a halt. And it's delayed the whole process of moving forward. We do have a company who, as a way of thanks, they are providing the tradesmen and all the materials to complete the conversion for us free of charge, which is just wonderful, because we are a non-funded organisation, so we depend on donations of all kinds at all times. So this has been a godsend, and we're hoping that this will be ready and completed for launch around about the beginning of January next year. So this space here, when it's completed, the company's going to come, they're going to plaster the walls, put a new floor down, put a suspended ceiling in. We'll have sofas. We've got information desks up at the front of the bus where there'll be all kinds of leaflets and literature available, where we can signpost people to other organisations as well that can support them and help them on their journey to recovery. So this, as I say, will be a kind of group area where there will be people coming and going at all times. At the back of the bus, we have sectioned off a space which is going to be our one-to-one room, and that's going to be for people at the point of crisis. So there's lots and lots of different things from NHS groups, courses, classes, independent courses, classes, counselling courses, classes, addiction recovery. We've invited schools to come on board as well, because the Education Board is very good when it comes to things like history and geography and English and maths, but they don't really arm the kids with life skills, you know, that they need. And 1 in 3 kids here are living in poverty. So I think the schools should address it. So it's going to cover a whole wide range of things in the Support and Care Hub. And we just, as I say, you know, previously, I just don't want anybody to slip through the net. And we want to fill all the gaps that other services, councils and people in power are leaving behind. You know, we want to fill those gaps because we don't feel there should be any gaps. And they just lead to bigger gaps and bigger gaps and bigger gaps. So if we can get in there and provide that support that's lacking before that gap gets any bigger, then, you know, job done. That's what we're trying to achieve. So this is going to be our one-to-one crisis room. And at the moment it doesn't look very much at all, but if you can just look beyond that and imagine it all freshly painted, nice bean bags, comfortable, and this will definitely be the safe space for people who are at the point of crisis. If they need to talk, they can come in and talk. If they want just somewhere where they can sit in silence and gather their thoughts, this can be the place to do it. If they want to vent and scream and shout, and then feel free, because at the end of the day, everybody that comes into this crisis room will be treated as an individual. Mental health affects so many people in so many different ways.